Assalamu alaikum. It's me Shifa Ishaq, student of MPhil second semester, and today the topic of my presentation is memory for discourse. So now I will define what is memory. Memory refers to the psychological processes of acquiring, storing, retaining, and later retrieving information. And there are three major processes involved in memory, that is encoding, storage, and retrieval. So now what is encoding? Encoding is the information that gets into our brain in a way that allows it to be stored. And storage is the information that is held in that allows it to later be retrieved. And retrieving is the reactivating and recalling the information, producing it in form similar to what was encoded. And now discourse. What is discourse? Discourse is the spoken or the written communication between people, especially serious discussion of the particular subject. It means that discourse can be spoken or written too. If two people are talking on a topic, then it is discourse. Now I will introduce my topic, that is memory for the memory for the discourse exists on the three distinct levels. One level is that of surface representation, in which we remember the exact words that we encounter. Second, we construct a propositional representation of the discourse. In propositional representation, which specifies meaning apart from the exact words used. These two levels are obviously similar to the corresponding level in our memory for sentences. In third level, we construct a situational model of the discourse. So there are three levels. Now I will explain each one. First one is surface representation. Surface representation is the representation in which we remember the exact word that we encountered. Surface representation of the discourse are very short-lived, presented individuals with a long oral passage that was interrupted at irregular intervals. Means like they are not interrupted at regular interval. Now the second one is propositional representation. Propositional representation of the discourse specifies the meaning apart from the exact words used. Canon showed that the number of the proposition influenced the time required to read a passage when preparing to recall it. For example, the two sentences have about the same number of words. The first one sentence is Cleopatra's downfall lay in her foolish trust in the fickle political figures of the Roman world. And the second sentence is Romulus, the legendary founder of the Rome, took the women of the Sabine by force. The first sentence is more complex propositionality. There are 8 propositions in it, and the second one contains 4 propositions. Kinstich and Cannon found that a proposition added about 1.5 seconds to the reading time. Now the third inferences and the propositional representations. From a communication standpoint, an inference is a proposition in the underlying discourse structure that is intended but not explicitly expressed by the author, and thus must be drawn by the reader. For example, Paul walked into the room. Paint was all over his shirt. So this pair demands an inference because otherwise our conventions reading the use of given and new information are violated. McCune concluded that we automatically draw inferences during the reading only when two conditions are present. First condition is the inference must be necessary to make a text locally coherent, and the second one is there The second condition is that the information on which the inference is based must be easily activated. Now, third one, that is situational model. Unlike the propositional representation, which represent the meaning of the text, situational models represent the state of affairs that a text refers to. That is, the assumption is that it is we comprehend the proposition of a text, we construct a mental or the situational model of the world as we describe the text. One possibility is the spatial layout. Uh, Three turtles rest behind a floating log and a fish beneath them. They were asked, "Did you see a fish swim beneath a floating log?" The students who read were more likely to falsely recognize those who read. Parrot used geographic terms and road direction. The road group called more proposition. In contrast, when asked Moro asked participants to memorize a group of the research center and then read narratives about characters in the center. They found that the participants' response time were faster when the objects were far from the goal room than the situational room. Furthermore, the construction of the situational model influences the accessibility of the previous information in the discourse. When the subjects read stories concerning the movement of a character through a building, reading time of the sentences that refer to the objects increased with the number of room between the object and the character. Now, kinds of the situational model. All of the preceding examples of the situational models are spatial models, but there are other kinds of situational models when identify a number of different type of models other than spatial model. One is a causal model, in which the part of text are connected by causal relation. Now, the summary of whole presentation. We store discourse in three ways: surface representation, prepositional representation, and situational model, and each appears to be influenced by different variables and short-lived except when the wording is pragmatically significant. Prepositional representation are much better retained and include the meaning of the presented information along any inferences we have drawn. Situational models are retained with the best and are based on the spatial or the causal relationship between parts of the text. So now this was my presentation.